Well, hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Discover New Music podcast from us at Pelt Music. Shortly, we'll be joined by the Cain Pit to discuss their latest single, Roses, which we featured over on our Discover New Music playlist on Spotify. But before then, the usual reminders from myself. If you would, please do follow Pelt on social media. We're on Facebook at Pelt and on Twitter and Instagram at Pelt Music. And again, if you would, please do hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, wherever you're watching or listening. Welcome to Daryl and Jamie from the Cain Pit to the Discover New Music podcast. How are you both this pretty chilly evening?
Good. Thanks for having us.
Yeah. How are you?
Yeah, no, absolutely looking forward to this. As I was chatting with Daryl just before we kind of hit record, obviously Full Pelt caught Millie Manders in Norwich just before Christmas, and the Cain Pit were supporting, and you gave a fantastic set. We really obviously enjoyed what we heard, and we put Roses on our Discover New Music playlist because of it. So obviously looking forward to the chat. But before we get into Roses, which we will dive into, we always start this podcast off with the same feature. So it is the Discover New Music podcast, and hopefully there will be some people discovering new music. Yeah, that is the aim. So for people unfamiliar with the Cain Pit, what is your origin story? That is the name of the segment. It's a very grandiose, superheroes come to mind and everything. But basically, what is the story of the band? How did you come together and get to this point?
Should I take this, Jamie?
I think you should take it, Daryl. Yeah.
How long we got? Because it's a bit of an epic, to be fair.
We love an epic. That's not a worry.
I'll give you like an abridged version. But basically, me and Scott's the guitarist in the band. We are cousins, and we kind of grew up playing music together. A lot of like rock and roll and 50s kind of stuff. But as we were growing up, we were sort of in and out of bands with each other. For years and years and years. And I think we'd always written songs like to ourselves a lot of the time, because our influences are so like varied. They were never suitable for the bands that we were in. So they just, for me personally, I just kept mine in a folder. They never got used. And then which I think it's become more sort of normal now, like when lockdown happened and we couldn't play music, Scott was like, well, do you just want to record some stuff and just from our own houses and to see what happens? And we just recorded a bunch of covers, and that was kind of received pretty well. And then I was like, well, should we just try doing originals, like all the originals we've got, like just see what happens, no pressure. And there's a cat, and it went like really well. We sort of were really chuffed with it. And then when the lockdown ended, we was like, well, should we just do it? Just see if we can find some people and just see what we can do, doing our songs like how we want to do it, our rules. I mean, we've been in signed bands before. We've been in like covers bands, and you have to follow rules, I guess. Especially with a record label, they want you to do this. You must do this. This is your audience. You must do that for that audience. This is your single, blah, 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 blah. But I was just like, I was sort of over all that. I want to do it for us, do what we do, our influences. And yeah, anyway, so fast forward a little bit. We went through tons of people to find people that would actually to play with us sounds bad, because it's like it sounds like we're horrible people, but I think, I mean, there's no denying that like we're all a bit older now, and people have responsibilities, and obviously originals music doesn't lend itself to earning the money straight away, and people need to do that when they're at a certain age. But luckily we found Isaac. We sort of knew him from the sort of local scene, and we recorded a bunch of stuff with Isaac, and then we had a drummer, and he wasn't really.
What does Isaac play? What does Isaac
plays the banjo? Sorry, Isaac plays the banjo, and yeah, so it was just us three for a while, and we had a drummer, but it wasn't really his thing. So because I'm a drummer as well, not in this band, I play double bass and sing, but I recorded all the drums for the demo, and then he decided that he wanted to like leave. He didn't have time to do it, and somehow Joe, our acoustic guitar player, ended up in the band, and then he brought Jamie in. So that was the very abridged version of the how the band formed. But yeah.
Yeah, no, it's fantastic. I love the attitude, like you say, we're doing this like our way, no rules. Like, let's just see what happens. And the Discover New Music podcast, especially, we're bought in 2024 now. I still find myself talking about the pandemic a lot because obviously a lot of the bands that come on formed in that time. Because whilst the pandemic took an awful lot, obviously tragically, away from a lot of people, one thing it tended to give musicians was time, which they weren't used to having. And obviously, there's a lot of bands that forever now will have grown out of that time. And yeah, absolutely fantastic that obviously you guys have been able to do that and come together and hopefully now obviously settle with this lineup and push forward and see what you can really do with it. So yeah, no, kudos for sticking with it and for giving it a go, because as you say, you hit a certain age, you need money, and no one is forming a band in 2024 thinking that they're going to instantly. Well, maybe some people are thinking that they're going to, but they're not going to. It's not how it works. Hopefully that's going to come in the future. But right now the commitment that you've got to do this is well worth applauding, in my opinion. So
I think the attitude I have towards it, and I think that comes across for most of the guys as well, is that we've been around the block. We've all earned money from doing things like covers bands and function bands and all that kind of stuff. And it's got to the stage now where we can just have fun and do exactly what we want to do. And just going out and playing sort of festivals and all these kind of fun gigs and stuff. We're not really worried about we like to sell merch and things like that. But that's cool. That's just cool to see people wearing it. But yeah, I think we've all become just doing it for the fun now, which is really cool, and it just takes it to a whole new kind of level, really, of just enjoying your instrument again.
Yeah, absolutely. I say on this podcast so many times that the most important thing is to enjoy what you're doing, to have fun. The F words, it's what it's all about. And to be honest as well, and on all sort of scales of success, big artists, medium artists, like smaller artists, I always find, the best music is made when you are just having fun, when there are no rules around, like, it must sound like this, you must, put the chorus in this place and do all of this kind of stuff. Like when you can actually just sort of sit back and get in and put your sort of creative energies and juices into it, like without any outside interference, is when the best music happens. And obviously for you guys, the song that we're going to talk about now, I think embodies that, hopefully, and that's Roses, obviously the song that we put over on our playlist. Again, when we caught you live, one of the standout live tracks of the night was Roses, and obviously, yeah, looking forward to delving into it a little bit. So what is the story of the song? How did it come together for you, and what are the themes behind it?
So it started off as like a really fast psychobilly song. That was like my original idea, like proper fast, proper stonking through. And it kind of changed. It evolved quite a lot when I, growing up, like over the years. I mean, it is an old song to me. And it sort of evolved into like a really slow, like murder ballad kind of slow sort of thing. And then just when we started demoing it between me and Scott, he'd done it a little bit faster than what it should be. So then the speed started rising up again. And it's got this mid-level sort of plonking thing going on, but it's not slow, it's not fast, but I think it's still fun to listen to. But like the actual story behind it, it's really it's nothing specific, but it's essentially about people lying and making others believe their lies. And it's like me saying that, there's only so many lies you can tell before karma basically comes and gets you, essentially. And I'm not a confrontational person, but it's basically about that. It's like you'll get your day, and if you don't, then I'll probably give you your day. Basically. That's where it comes from. So I I wanted to kind of put these Alice in Wonderland themes in it, and sort of, so the chorus is like painting the roses red, so it's essentially you're painting you're painting lies, you know, over the truth, and that's kind of where I wanted to go for that.
Yeah, no, I love digging into the meanings of songs, and yeah, that's really really interesting, and a valid point. I mean, I always say, you know, people just get you know, complacent with their lies. You know, you can tell one or two maybe white lies, but people then get, oh, they got away with that, so I'm gonna like embellish it, and I'm gonna keep it, and that's when people get caught out. You know, so
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, no, really interesting, and obviously, yeah, just a great track as well. Yeah, just to listen to and have fun. So obviously, listeners do need to listen to it. Obviously, either on our playlist or, of course, any streaming site or the music video. So I'm a
Yeah.
massive music video nerd. Grew up in a music video era where, you know, I used to watch. You know, Krang, MTV, whatever it was, before school, after school. Loved just sitting and watching these videos. It gives you a connection to a band that you don't necessarily get just through the music, you know. And obviously, a lot of bands come on this podcast and there isn't a video for me to talk about because it obviously gets cut from the budget, etc., etc. So first thing for me is, you know, thank you for giving me that to watch, because there is a video for Roses. There's also a video for Tapestry, which obviously there'll be links in the bio of this, so listeners can obviously click through and watch them. So for you guys, you know, how important has it been for you to get those made, get them out, and what's the experience been like trying to do that and put it into practice?
I think
Jamie?
it's very important. I think the way people listen to music now is so much more with their eyes. Like we said, we all grew up with Kerrang and Scuzz and all that kind of stuff when we were younger, but we had to put the TV on to watch it, which made it quite special. But I think the way music is nowadays is people are just scrolling through it on their phones, and unless you've got visual there, it's not as easy. You know, we can put all the links up to Spotify and all that stuff, but we need to physically send people that way. But I think the video now is really important to do, and we're even talking about we're talking about our third and our fourth video to do. You know, this side of the year, because we want to put that out with our with the EP, as well as obviously having the Roses track quite fresh as well. So yeah, I think putting the video up on Facebook was one of the best things we did, because it just, people just saw that video and it just went nuts. And it was actually even more important to put it on Facebook than maybe it was so YouTube, because
Yeah.
we had to again send people that way. So putting all these videos out onto all these social media platforms has just has worked really well for us.
Yeah, no, I love to hear it because it's such a dying art. Really, really is. I think kids these days make us all sound really, really old. But you know, they'll never really understand it, will they? Which I think is such a shame. Like, you know, they're getting home, turning the telly on, like you're saying. Like, yeah, again, you don't control it. Yeah, music TV. It's not like the search on YouTube for what we want. You know, you have to watch what's on there. You know, which is why you might flick between Krang and Scuzz and whatnot. But obviously, you know, you find the video, oh, I love this song, and obviously, yeah, the connection it makes is just, like, for me, unparalleled. And yeah, absolutely love that you guys are equally as passionate about it. And obviously, yeah, so obviously putting those videos together, you know, for obviously a new band, you know, what sort of challenges does it present for you?
So really it's finding somebody to record it. And I think everybody's quite creative in the band, and obviously we don't always have a budget to be that creative, so you have to kind of think like, what can we afford, essentially. I mean, the first video we done, which was Tapestry, it was actually filmed in a disused bank vault, and we got it for free. We got complete freedom. It's actually in North Ocean where I live, and it was the old Barclays Bank, and they've been refurbishing it. And I got in touch with it's kind of been bought out by a charity, and they essentially were going to use the bank vault as a recording studio. And I contacted the guy and was like, before you do anything to the bank vault, can we go down and film a music video? And I was like, you need to let me know how much it's going to cost. And he was like, just have it for free. And he basically, we met him. This was before Jamie was in the band, but we met him outside. He handed me the keys, told me where the bank vault was, and that was about it. And just left us to it. And he was like, lock up when you're done. So it was like amazing. It was bloody scary though, because the only electric in the whole building, it's like a 4-story building, and the only electric was one plug at the top of the building that we had to then drag an extension lead, multiple extension leads, all the way to the basement so that we could get lighting. And he told us one piece of advice before he left. It was like, do not close the vault door because you won't be able to get back out again ever. And you will essentially die in there because it's owned by a bank. They won't tell him what the code is. So he was like, don't close the door. So that might be actually why our old drummer left. That was the point when he was like,
is he still in there? Is he?
He might be. But no, and then I got a mate to film it, and I ended up editing it myself, and it came out fine. I mean, it's a visual thing and people can see it and listen to it. It's exactly what we wanted. But then I think Roses really like stepped the game up, where everybody who's in the band is in the band. In that video, everyone had their input. Luckily, Jamie brought a mate along who actually knows what he's doing to film it, and he edited it. And I think he kind of reined us in a bit for all of these like crazy ideas as well that we had. Like our guitarist Scott had this idea about jumping off Chroma Pier and for going into the ocean, and there's like a shark there or something. It's like that's not gonna work, mate. And that doesn't really have much to do with the song. So but even when we were like filming it, and because I think it was the longest shoot I'd ever done on a music video. It's usually like one day and you're there in an evening, play about a bit, you're done. But like we actually had like a storyline through it, and to go to some woods, and then we filmed in a bar, and I think Joe wanted to go to like a park, which we had to scrap that in the end. Yeah. So but I was proper chuffed. That's like, for an independent band, I think it's pretty decent quality, really. So, and as Jamie said, it really helped us like gain some more followers from that.
Yeah, no, it is really good quality, and I love that you've put the effort into it and the love into it, because again, like you got the live videos and you got like the story videos, but my favorite are the ones where they cross over. There's a bit of both in there, and obviously you get that with the Roses video. But now I am really intrigued, and obviously I want an upcoming video of yours to feature that pier jump and a shark. I mean, I imagine trained sharks to obviously do what you want on one camera probably costs quite a bit of money, but it'll be worth it. That'll bring some followers in.
I think Scott even mentioned that with our next video. Can we do the Chroma Pier thing? And we're like, no, we can't do the Chroma Pier thing.
I think he's gonna call for it in every bloody video.
It's gonna wear you down. It's gonna happen. I can feel. I can sense it, definitely. And I'm gonna bring you back on to talk about it when it does happen. So yeah, absolutely fantastic. I really appreciate music videos, and obviously, listeners definitely should check out yours and those that are coming up, as you say. And it's a nice little link. And Jamie, you mentioned it. There's an EP on the way. So from what I've seen on social media, you're aiming for around April kind of release for the EP. So obviously, what should listeners expect from this EP?
God, Daryl, you.
I mean, it's what can you expect? I mean, it's gonna be the Cain Pit. It's gonna sound like us and our influences, like hopefully put into a little EP, into like what, 4 or 5 tracks? Five. So it's hopefully that's a really good sort of introduction, I guess, of like what we can do and what you can expect. As I said, we've got so many influences in the band. We've luckily been able to kind of blend them together, and it doesn't sound messy. And I feel that it kind of sounds like us. Like, I'm not sure there's many others that sound like us. There's tons of like folk punk bands, but they've got their own kind of, they might be more English folk leaning, or they might be like, sort of lots of stories about drugs leaning, heroin addiction leaning. But my whole thing was that I wanted to sort of like make it rootsy, make it punky, make it poppy, make it sort of accessible to a lot of people. And I think that really comes across in this EP. We've got like fast stomping ones, we've got proper sort of more traditional country bluegrassy ones. So yeah, I'm pretty excited really to hear what people think of it as well. So, and if they don't like it, I don't care, because I think it's great. So
And again, that is the main thing. Absolutely is. And no, I can't wait to hear it. I love how you describe it as, it's the Cain Pit.
yeah.
That's what it is. And I wish more people would have that kind of attitude as well. Rather than, again, everything has to have like get a pigeonholed into something. It's got to have, it's this genre. It sounds like this, or I've never done with Full Pelt Music. We've never done the whole for fans of, and all that, which I know helps a lot of listeners sort of get into music. But I just think, you know what, like the Cain Pit of the Cain Pit, and every band that we get on, it is that individual, and then the group of individuals, and obviously their creative nuances and outputs that makes it. So yeah, absolutely love to hear it, and yeah, cannot wait. And I obviously hope as well. We talked about fun earlier. Yeah, the recording process was fun for yourselves as well.
Oh,
Jamie.
definitely. Yeah, definitely. I've only last week I did the drum tracks for the EP. Roses is going to be on it as well on the hard copies, but so that's one down. But the yeah, we did 4 tracks last week with our friend Pete, and laid the drum tracks down, and it is loads of fun, definitely. Especially this sort of fast. I'm more used to doing sort of like more technical metal kind of stuff from when I was younger. And it's nice to be able to play with a bit more of a smile on my face and have a lot more fun, and it be just nice and fast and just fun really. So yeah, doing the drum tracks was really nice and good. And yeah, I think you guys the band actually self-record quite a lot of stuff as well. So we outsourced the drum tracks. So I go out and lay the drum tracks down and then send them back to our guitarist, who does all the mixing and the editing and the recording. But then everything else is done through Scott, isn't it? Really, you guys go around his house and use his recording stuff, and so yeah, it is very DIY, which I think makes it equally as just really good as well, and nice and honest, and yeah, really fun.
I think we're pretty lucky. We're pretty lucky that we're quite in-house on everything that we can do. Like, as Jamie said, Scott, our guitarist, records basically everything but the drums. He mixes it all himself. I'm like a graphic designer and an illustrator, so I do all the artwork. Isaac, what does Isaac do? The banjo player.
He's model trained, doesn't he? So
that's it. Yeah.
If ever we need a model train fixing, he's got us sorted. So
yeah, he works at a model train museum, which is pretty amazing, really. It's it's pretty great.
Just knowing how to play the banjo, I think, is a good enough skill for him.
Yeah.
Amazing. No, it's fantastic. I love a DIY ethos, and you guys are absolutely nailing it. And obviously, Jamie, I love that you said it was so much fun playing the drums on this, because obviously being in a metal band, you're not allowed to. You can't smile in a metal band. You've got to be serious.
Yeah, a bit more serious, a bit more counting, and yeah. So yeah, it's definitely a nice change.
Yeah, absolutely, and obviously it all continues, of course, out of the studio and onto the stage as well. I say we caught you supporting obviously Millie Manders, who listeners we've had on our Full Pelt Music podcast. Listeners need to go and check that one out as well and listen to our chat with Millie. But yeah, obviously, it's such a fun show, and that's what music is all about, as I keep saying. So obviously now you've got these songs, and you're going to be keen to get out and really start playing them on a regular basis. I noticed you're playing Folk in a Field, which is a great festival in the summer. You've got some other shows coming up over the next few months. Obviously, how excited are you just to get out and get playing these songs now?
Super excited. We obviously, we sort of, I guess it was like a soft launch last year, wasn't it? Really, like we played some gigs. I mean, our first gig, it was different. And I think you got to have a kind of different first gig. It was at like a rockabilly Ordea, and everyone there was like proper into that scene, well traditional. They're suited and booted, which I love all that music. I was
Yeah.
raised on all rockabilly and stuff. But because I knew the guy who was organizing it, he asked if we wanted to play it, and I think we were memorable, which I think was good because people remembered it, and we're pretty hard compared to the sort of rockabilly stuff. And there was one quote that just always sticks with me, and I went outside and after the show, and this lady was like, "Oh yeah, I think you were really good," which I said, "I think you were good," and she said, "When you started playing, I thought my head was going to explode." But then I got used to it and it was okay. So it's like that's amazing. I'd love to hear that, like, making old ladies' brains explode. It was great. And I mean, we played a stonker, to be fair, didn't we? It was like
Good.
it was pretty tight. So that was really good for our first gig, which is I think you need a memorable gig as your
Yeah.
first gig. And then we done a few other all dayers. They were kind of mixed. We done one like out in the open in Chroma, and people were walking past the outside of this pub and just stopping and watching, and so it was great. I think for us, like, I hate blowing my own trumpet, but I think people want to listen to it because it's something they probably don't necessarily hear before, because a lot of people can't. I think, as you said, people kind of need to be told what it is. And I don't want people to know what it is. I just want them to accept that's what's going on. There's like a slap double bass, there's a banjo, there's a distorted guitar, there's super fast metal drums, there's acoustic, there's a harmonica going on, there's all mental stuff. And then there's songs about whiskey, there's songs about trains. Then, we try and have a laugh between the songs as well. So yeah, I'm kind of, so next year, this year, 2024,
Yeah.
we've got, hopefully a lot more gigging stuff's going to happen. We've got Folk in the Field. We've got other festivals that we're not allowed to announce yet.
We've got we're playing Skeg Vegas, aren't we? We can say
Gig
that
Vegas.
we're doing Skeg Vegas, a massive VW show in Skegness, so that's going to be really fun. I think we've actually kind of maybe found where the band is going to end up being, which is summer festival stuff. It looks like it fits perfectly, and we're super excited, and we can't wait to sort of announce some of the other stuff that we've got coming up this year. But I think we're going to be a bit of a festival kind of outdoors in the summer, kind of sitting in a field listening band. I think that seems to be where we are at the moment, and we're definitely looking forward to it this year, 100%.
Yeah, absolutely. I can see that. I think you would be the ideal sort of mid-afternoon festival band, the sunshine, and got a beer in hand. And I'm checking out, obviously, the Cain Pit. It sounds like a perfect summer's day to me. So absolutely. And obviously, this is the perfect segue. This is the point of the episode. I always give out the social handles. Because of course, when them shows get announced, that is the best place for listeners to stay up to date these days with everything going on. You guys have made my life really easy because you are literally at the Cain Pit on Instagram and Facebook, which is fantastic. Because on this podcast, I recorded one just before this, and every single handle is like different, and there's all different sort of bits put in there to try and make it work. You guys have nailed it, the Cain Pit. If listeners couldn't find it without my help, I'd be a bit worried about them. But I've said them anyway. They'll pop up on the screen and they'll be in the bio. So listeners, definitely click through, follow the band to stay up to date with, obviously, the EP coming, the live shows coming. So it's lots of great stuff for you to sink your teeth into. And absolutely been a delight chatting with you. We've got, obviously, the live conversation leads us on to our final sort of portion of the podcast. And it's something we call set list science. So we've established I'm a music video geek. I'm also a geek when it comes to set lists, and I love just to probe a little bit around them. So the question here is, how much importance do you place into the structure of your set lists, and have you got any rules that you tend to follow?
Oh, it's definitely important. Definitely important. You've got to. I think the way my old band used to do it, we used to do like a graph like a happiness kind of graph, and being able to keep the audience like it would be like, oh, fast, 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 oh, sad, 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 fast, 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 sad. Don't do too many sad ones together. But yeah, I think we definitely put loads of effort into our set, didn't we? And I mean, last year we pretty much kept the set throughout the year because we had those songs locked in, transitions between the songs, time that we knew we could talk, and or Daryl could talk. I don't say anything, but we could, yeah, we just rehearsed that set over and over and over again until it was just one sort of solid sort of 40-minute block. But yeah,
We always try and give people a breather, like through our sets, because and probably us a little bit as well. It's, I mean, I think like the first 4 songs are like proper stonkers. Like the first 2 songs that we played like merge into each other. Then it's like, hi, with this band, and then we're straight into like the next 2. And I think from my experience of playing like rockabilly music in the past and from playing bluegrass music in the past, the issue that genre has is that it sounds the same to like the uninitiated. It's like a lot of it's the same speed, a lot of it's the same tempo. They've all got either a boom 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 bass line, or they've always got a ding 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 bass line, and it's hard. It gets really like tiresome. So I really make sure that we all make sure that we give a breather. There's a change of tempo. There's, I think it's really important, especially to keep people engaged. It's hard for originals bands because normal pub goers, at the end of the day, they want to listen to the same stuff they've heard 1,000 times before. They want to listen to the Killers or Oasis, whatever. And so winning people over that never heard you before, it's always it's at the top of the list. So I definitely, a well prepared set list helps with that.
And whiskey always goes near the end because we know once they're singing whiskey, we've got them. We've got these people. We've spent the last half an hour like catching them, and now they're going to sing along to our song when we tell them to. So yeah, we've definitely put loads and loads of thought and effort into it. And you've definitely got. If you just sort of randomly throw some songs out there, especially with the style that we do, like Dale said, it's just going to. We'll end up playing all the fast ones first, scaring everyone away. We'll all be knackered, and then we'll finish with 2 slow ones, and then just die at the edge of the stage or something,
Yeah, the big finale. Death. Yeah. No, fantastic. You obviously passed the test, as it were, because you clearly put some effort into it. And the sort of follow-on question we've sort of added in over the last, I don't know, 6 months to that is just something, because it became a bit of an internet meme. It was about round encores and the whole peekaboo for adults and all of that kind of stuff. So obviously may not be something that you thought about too much at this point, but obviously going forward, I'm sure you're going to have to figure something out. What are your thoughts on encores as a whole? Yes or no?
I don't know actually. The older I get, the more I think it's like it's not a surprise, is it? It's coming. If you've seen a band before, or you follow them around, you will recognize, oh, they didn't play that song in the set, and they're now off stage. They're going to come back on and do that said song. So I don't know. I don't know. I think when we had been asked to do encores before, in fact, by a guy dressed as Jack Sparrow, who was drunk as a skunk. But we were like, we can't do an encore because we don't have any more. We played all our songs. So I don't know. I'm not sure. I think as we go as a band, we will see if that situation arises. If people keep shouting for encores when we finish, then I don't know. Maybe we just play a really rubbish song.
Or no, I think maybe the size gigs that we're doing at the moment, we're not anticipating encores, are we? We're getting on, we're playing our set, and we're off again, waiting for the next band because everyone's waiting for that next band to play. But yeah, it's an interesting one. I think
we could be really anti-encore, and I saw Black Flag a few years ago now, and they didn't play any of their like hits. And they finished their gig and they walked off, and people were really expecting them to come back on, and they just didn't come back on. They just flicked, all the lights came up in the house, and that's it. See, I didn't play your hits at all. So yeah, maybe we do that.
Yeah. Yeah, no, absolutely. It's an interesting one. It's developed over the last year, like I say, really, and I've had some interesting conversations around it because I think people's sort of thought processes, like you say, maybe it is age related as well. The older you get, you just think, yeah, my back hurts now, and I've got a train to catch. Like, let's wrap it up, guys. But yeah, no, interesting how times change. But obviously, yeah, there's so much, exciting bits and bobs that we've talked about on this podcast. Obviously, EP, live shows coming. So yeah, absolutely, listeners, do as we've said. Check out the single on the playlist, check out the videos, follow the band on social media is obviously the big one for me as well. It's been a pleasure chatting with you both. I always throw the final message to the guests and just say, what would you like to end the podcast on today?
Should I take this, Jamie?
Yeah, I think you should. Yeah.
Please stream us and please watch our YouTube videos. There's live videos, there's music videos, and we really need you to buy tickets for our gig coming up on the 2nd of March at the Reindeer, and we're supporting the Zip Heads. Also, when there's the Rochambeau gig, we're supporting them, which is at the end of February.
Yeah, February at the Brickmakers. We're doing playing with Rochambeau.
Yeah, get tickets for that too. If you go to our Instagram, which is just the Cain Pit, which is CAIN, in our bio, we've got a link tree, and you can buy your tickets from there for all the shows and buy your merch and stream our stuff on all of the platforms you could ever imagine.
Absolutely. I encourage listeners to follow that direction because it is so important. Obviously, like we said, it's such a tough industry to just sort of make ends meet with, and obviously, it gets tougher and tougher for artists to be able to do that. But buying merch, buying tickets in advance of a show, these are two of the most important things. Absolutely, listeners, do that. Thank you so much, Daryl and Jamie, for joining me and obviously taking part in the podcast.
Thank you. Thank you
Thanks
very much.
for having us.
Well, thank you everyone for listening. I really do hope you enjoyed that chat there with the Cain Pit. Do make sure you check out their single Roses over on our Discover New Music playlist on Spotify. And of course, follow the band across social media to stay up to date with everything coming from them. You can also stay up to date with Full Pelt. We are on Facebook at Full Pelt and on Twitter and Instagram at Full Pelt Music. And finally, if you would, please do hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, wherever you're watching or listening, because we'll be back very soon with another episode of the Discover New Music podcast.